Live from Orlando, it's Thursday night. Good to see you guys hanging out here tonight. I'm excited. Again, my favorite thing I get to do every week. There's two things in real estate and business that I get to do every week, and it's hang out with you and hang out with my team on Tuesdays when we have our big blowout team meetings. And so tonight, hanging out at 7 o'clock, and I'm so excited. We're going to dive into the state of the city address from Mayor Dyer. There was a lot to unpack there. We're going to unpack construction versus resale. We're going to unpack some theme park news, as well as a whole bunch of other stories that I've got for you guys tonight. So I'm just excited to, spend some time hanging out. But for the most part, your Q&A is also the most important part of this show, getting to know you a little bit better, figuring out what's most important, and we're going to rock through that. So let us know down below, where you guys watching from tonight. This is always a fun thing to find out. Are you watching from Orlando? Are you watching from somewhere else in the world? We have people literally from all over the world watching. And tonight we've got people checking in. Let's see, Miami Coffee says, what's up? Talk about coffee. What's going on? Stephanie checking in from Simpsonville, South Carolina. John's checking in from Brockport, New York. Pickles checking in from Mineola. Excited about the roar back in Motor City. Let's go Tigers for sure. The unofficial mayor of Hunters Creek checking in, JJ Hernandez. Let's see what's going on. Robert checking in from Claremont. Alex hanging out from the Milk District. Good to see you as always. Sam, what's going on? Checking on from Massachusetts, rather. Let's see. From the past Winter Garden, Celebration resident, now Nashville, but back into Celebration in 3 weeks. What's going on? Hi, Ping. Good to see you. Yaz, what's going on? Yaz and Bono from Dr. Phillips, and a whole bunch of other from Greenville, South Carolina. Wow, we've got a lot of people checking in early tonight. This means a lot to me. Riley, what's going on? Our team member Riley, good to see you. Says the plant is so cool. This is true. I got this plant. I was influenced on Instagram. We had this like weird like blank space over here, and I was like, I'm trying to hide a plug, and so I thought this plant would look really cool on camera, and this is the first time. So let me know what you guys think about this. James is checking in from Key West. A lot of good people hanging out tonight, so thank you so much. Please let us know down below. Bailey, what's going on? Good to see you as well. Let's get into this. So the state of the city address was over this past week, and it was an hour long, and Mayor Dyer always does a great job. Their team prepares and gives us a great insight onto what's going on in our city. And if you want to go back through and take a look, Florida Politics has it. It's over on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing in its entirety as well. But there's basically 3 things that they talked about as he broke down the piece. And so he said there's things that the residents want. And the reason why he loves local politics more than state politics, which he used to be a state senator, is because the local residents let you know what they're looking for. And that's one of the reasons I actually love our channel, is because it's so cool to look at our comment section and figure out exactly what you guys care about. And their comments allow me to go find stuff and figure out in the permitting data what's going on. It lets me know, hey, this road over here is important to me. So many cool things that you guys get to let us know. And so as the unofficial mayor of Orlando, I get to take advantage of that and hear from you guys. But the Orlando mayor said, listen, I love hearing from you guys as local residents. And there's 3 things that we're going to break down that we hear from residents all the time. The first is we need to focus more on the basics. And so he talked about property tax last year was $360 million, but they spent $406 million just on police and fire. And you might wonder, how does that happen? Where does the rest of the money come from? They actually have a balanced budget in the city, and they have for as long as I can remember. And so in that, they're pulling tax from businesses and commercial and a whole bunch of other stuff, but they're investing a ton into police and fire for safety. And in 2026, property taxes went up $21 million, which obviously the pricing of real estate continued to go up. I've got something on my glasses here. The pricing of real estate continued to go up, and so taxes went up, but the millage stayed exactly the same. And so in 2026, they increased police and fire by $25 million. I'm looking down here because I've got my notes on my laptop in front of me here. So $21 million in more taxes, but $25 million more in police and safety, because he said, we heard you. We feel like this is important, police and fire. And what did that do? Like, spending all of that money on police and fire, did it do anything? Well, homicides were down 50%. And this stat blew me away. 100% of all homicides were solved. Like, all the crimes that happened were solved in terms of homicides. I thought that was really interesting. Violent crimes were down 14%. Burglaries were down 30%. And so that's, I think, a good thing. We're investing in police and fire. And the fact that we actually got something for that is important. They added 500 miles of sidewalks, and they added bike trails, and they went from 8 miles of bike trails to 84 miles of bike trails, which I know a lot of you guys, we talk about multimodal all the time. You got planes, trains, automobiles, but you also have pedestrians. You've got bikes obviously is a massive one with the bike trails, but you also have autonomous vehicles and a lot of other stuff that we're going to talk about in a minute. The next one was significant investment in stormwater management without raising the millage tax. With all of these things, it's interesting. I've got a podcast coming out tomorrow with Commissioner Shan Rose. She's the commissioner for District 5, and we were talking about the downtown development and like what exactly does it take to add a new building. And one of the biggest things for slowing down development downtown is that stormwater management becomes the biggest issue. So if you can't fit a retention pond on your property, that's a problem. And so they're trying to invest more into stormwater management, be able to handle storms without having the flooding, without also raising taxes. So I think that's really good. So focus on basics. That was one of the things that was talked about. The second thing was invest in the future. And one of the massive things he talked about, I think the number one takeaway for investing in the future that he talked about was that we have 1,500 people moving here every single week, and we need more houses. In fact, as of today, based on the amount of people we have moving here, we need roughly 10,000 more properties. So this is, what he called every unit matters, I thought was interesting. He's talking about ADUs or accessory dwelling units. He's talking about apartment buildings, granny flats, and yes, lots and lots of houses and townhouses. They're projecting that over the next 10 years, we're going to need roughly 50,000 more houses just in the city of Orlando. This is not Greater Orlando or Central Florida, just in the city of Orlando. We're going to need 50,000 more, which is kind of wild. And in that, they said, okay, so we want to remove some of the barriers for developers to be able to move in and say, can we put an ADU here? Can we put an apartment building here? Can we figure out a way to put it in development or redevelopment more so is what a lot of us are looking for. And so in that, they've got 9,200 units currently under construction, 18,000 currently in permitting, and 40,000 that have recently been approved. And so they're trying to get ahead of this sort of affordable housing crisis that not only do we have here in Orlando, but really everywhere in Central Florida and beyond. So that was it. That was investing in the future. The last one was talk about, I thought it was interesting. It was the third faction of his conversation with the state of the city was embrace innovation and big ideas. And one of the things they talk about big ideas, he was doing like Q&A, or not Q&A, he was doing trivia throughout his speech. And he was talking about, do you know, Baldwin Park was sort of like this 1,000-acre eyesore in the middle of the city. And Mayor Hood came forward and figured out this idea of turning it from the Navy base into what Baldwin Park is today. And so now they're renaming that park around this Baldwin Park, the mayor, after Mayor Hood going forward, which I think was a nice little nod. I was thinking about, like, if I was going to be named after something in the city, I know that's a little pretentious to even think about, but like if I could just pay for the honor of it, it wouldn't be a street. I'm trying to think of what it would be. I'm not like, I don't know. We'll see. So I don't know. All right. So the next thing they talked about was embracing innovation and big ideas, was that there were 1,200 events in downtown Orlando over the past year, which that number blew me away. There were over 3 million visitors that came to downtown Orlando. And so we've talked about downtown Orlando a ton on our channel over the past couple of years for sure. I just think it's really exciting what's going on with Westcourt and Travel and Leisure and Church Street. And then hopefully what's going on with some of the other sites that have been vacant lately that I'm excited to tell you about soon, that I've sort of heard rumblings about here recently. But seeing 3 million visitors, not just at Disney or not just at Universal or SeaWorld, but coming to downtown for the first time and visiting what we have to offer, I think is like such a good little start in the right direction. The rest of it he talked about, it was the planes, trains, and automobiles. And they said that they want to start not only drone delivery, which I've talked about before in the past with Walmart and some of these other places. But they want to do inspections with roads and bridges and basically use some of these drones from a municipality perspective, which I thought was really cool as well. And so he said he coined it Airlando, America's home for advanced air mobility. And then finally, they want to invest a lot more into solar, not just because of climate change, but because of jobs and hopefully save some money for the municipality. So that was it. That was an hour-long speech that I would condense down into 10 minutes. I do think that we are moving in the right direction. I think some of the biggest things that we can do, and I'm actually going to Charlotte with the mayor and a whole bunch of like 80 or 90 different people from around Orlando. We're going to Charlotte in a couple weeks, and we're going to be talking about to their municipalities and their mayor and some of the different pieces of why they've been successful over the past decade. Very similar to Nashville we went to last year, and just sort of hearing what it is that we can take back to Orlando to hopefully improve the city for everybody. And so I'm quite excited. All right, let's get back. We got a bunch of other people checking in. Thank you so much for that. We got Reginald checking in from Watermark. Good to see you. Hi Ping says infrastructure does not support it at the moment. You're absolutely right. We need to get better on the infrastructure side. Lanique's checking in from Orlando. Is Chase on vacay? Chase found an incredible new opportunity, and we're super stoked for him. Miami Coffee says, drop the plants. I'll check it out and buy it. This is Flora. It's called Flora. You can check it out online. It's kind of cool. It's got an app. You can change different colors. It's pretty dope. I enjoy it. Martin's checking in from Illinois. Good to see you. What's up, Sean? Good to see you as well. Kevin checking in from Lakeland. Tony says, what's up? Ken's the GOAT. No, man, you're the GOAT. I appreciate it. Ken's theme park, Cody says, I don't know about that. Posick Park has a nice ring to it. I would take like a nice quaint park. It's got to have like this huge tree in it in the middle. That would be fun. Like, I don't know why, but pulling around the corner, seeing with a big old like tree that's been there for 100 years, that would mean a lot to me. All right, let's keep going. We got some news stories for you guys beyond just the state of the city tonight. And so let's talk about it. So here we go. America's housing market reaches an inflection point. This is from Newsweek, but this has been on almost every news site over the past week or so. So newly built homes are now cheaper than the existing ones, according to the latest data, as developers navigate oversaturated housing market where sellers far outnumber buyers. Wait, how is that possible when Mayor Dyer just talked about we need 50,000 more houses over the next 10 years? Well, what we talk about all the time is housing is super localized, and yet it is the fact that we have this like very seller market right now, or sorry, buyer's market right now. We've got more listings on the market than there are buyers based on where we're at. And that being said, it's an affordable housing issue more than anything. But it says median sale of new homes in June, according to the latest data model available to the Census Bureau, was $401,000. Again, this is nationwide, but it's down 4.9% from a month earlier and 2.9% from a year earlier. In the same month, the median sales price of an existing home was $435, just like roughly a year ago. And so it's rare that newly built homes cost less than existing ones. And so this is the interesting thing that we're telling buyers right now, is that you have a better opportunity. We actually have a whole video about this next week, but you have a better opportunity financially to buy a new construction house than you do a resale house. Now, if you are in Windermere or Baldwin Park or Winter Park, or some of these more established places, College Park, Thornton Park, just different, more set downtown Winter Garden, there's less new construction available for you. So resale might be all you have. Yet in Orlando, we've got roughly 30% of all the houses we sell here are new construction. And so builders, we found out today, we did this whole tour of like a bunch of different neighborhoods. And we found on average that builders were offering like $60,000 to $80,000 in the neighborhoods we stopped in for flex cash and closing costs, and they could buy your rate down. One of them said that they were buying a rate down to 3.99% for up to 7 years. This was David Weekly in Sunbridge, which is wild to think. And so most people don't hang on to their house more than 7 years. So if you get in there, and I'm not somebody who's like a big like marry the house, date the rate. Like that was never my thing. But if you get into a house and hopefully in 7 years the rate comes down, even if it doesn't, then you could always sell it and that sort of thing. But a lot of incentives out there right now, and so you can get a lot of these same incentives on resale. By the way, it's just not advertised. Whereas you walk into new construction and they're like, "Hey, by the way, buy a house here. We'll buy down your rate. We'll give you closing costs. We'll just do this, right?" Whereas on resale, it's all negotiable, but buyers just don't know it up front. So yeah, for the first time in, let's see, this is only the sixth time in 26 years that new construction was cheaper than resale. Speaking of which, this isn't totally an ad, if you will, but the best of Orlando came out from Orlando Weekly this week. And the best real estate company was the Posick Group at Keller Williams. That's us. Mainframe, our friends over there, number 2. Miller and Grant were number 3. So thank you for that, by the way. If you guys voted for us over on Instagram, it means the world to us. It was really cool I got a text. I was like in the middle of a meeting and someone texted me like, "Did you see this?" And I hadn't, but it definitely made my week. Let's get back to your questions. Cody says, Posick, Posick Premium Parks and Plaza. Dude, I like the alliteration, honestly. You dug deep for that one. It means a lot. Our Golden Afternoon says, "What's up, Winter Garden?" We second the coffee talk. All right, so then, okay, great. So we got 2 people that are interested. So Coffee Miami and our Golden Adventure wants to talk about coffee. So favorite coffee shop in Orlando and go. It used to be Foxdale for me. And then there's just so many good ones. Craft and Commons, great. Axum is great. Curate Coffee Curate Coffee is one of my favorites. I don't hang out a ton in Creative Village, which is like the one that I find myself going to when I'm downtown. But that's probably one of my favorite coffee joints. And for whatever reason, they always say hi when I come in, which it is what it is. I think it's really cool. But best of Orlando, the Posick Group. Very excited about this. This is a story I wanted to go really deep on. Excuse me. Let me get some water here. All right. So this is what I wanted to go deeper on, not only for the podcast, but maybe in blog form or something like that. But how did Orlando go from 0 Michelin Guide restaurants to 59 in 3 years? Like how is it even possible, chat? Like, it is wild that I just started seeing all of these. And in my mind, I was like, oh, they just started creating them and then they got better. And so now they're here. Unfortunately, some of that's right, but it's not the whole story. And so diving in, this is Wes did a really great deep dive, and I'll leave this in the show notes afterwards. But despite one of the most famous tourists in the city, Orlando has spent the better part of 4 decades boasting another less than ideal title, they say, the chain capital of the world. And this is what I thought when I first moved here. I'm like, there's an Applebee's next to a Chili's, next to a McDonald's. Where are all like the good restaurants at? And then we went to the theme parks and we're like, oh, there's some really good theme parks here. And then eventually it was like, oh, Winter Park has some great restaurants. And the Chef's Table in downtown Winter Garden is great. And then, Mills 50 popped up. And dang, where did all these freaking Michelin star restaurants came up? That's what it felt like. And so what we found out was that it says title tourism officials have worked hard to shed that over the past 5 years, which again lines up with what I was saying, spending some very big dollars to do so. So Florida's first Michelin Green Star. So to be Michelin worthy, it really comes down to delicious food, says the chef Lord for Lalicon of Thornton Park's Kaya restaurant. Chef Lowe is no stranger to Michelin cooking, having worked at Cadence in Winter Park. But basically, they saw this huge uptick when they finally won a Michelin star. They were like, listen, we got a Michelin star. Now, all of a sudden, all of these people from all over are starting to come here. And so you start reverse engineering this and you're like, okay, well, if you get a Michelin star, people show up. How do I get a Michelin star? Yes, it's create incredible food, but not every restaurant that's incredible can get a Michelin recommendation or make it in the guide or get a star or multiple stars. And so how does this happen? And so it's a new partnership, actually, that Visit Orlando was able to secure. And so basically in 2019, they approached the Michelin Guide and said, hey, listen, it would be really cool for Orlando, Tampa, and Florida to start getting some of these things. And so it says, according to the CEO, Cassandra, she said the partnership now in its 5th year has cost roughly $800,000 of tourist tax dollars. And it's roughly about, of their $75 million budget, this is a big piece of that. And so for the first 3 years, it was right at $115,000. And then the last 2 years, it's been, roughly $90,000. And so it's sort of what sounds like a pay to play, where you're like, hey, I didn't know this. Like, let me know in the chat. Like, did you know that Michelin's sort of pay to play? And what it sounds like is that they're just like, hey, raise your hand if you're in an area that has great restaurants. Cool. Will you bid for us to show up? And then from there, it's all legit. Like, they show up and they actually see, is it clean? Is it incredible to be a part of? Is it great food? Is it all of these things that you'd want out of an amazing experience? So all of that is legit. And I've been to some recently. I've been like checking off some off my list to find out, are these good or not? And many of them are incredible. But to be able to even be considered, you have to be on here. And so Florida's not the only one. Orlando's not the only one. Colorado Tourism paid $300,000 for Denver, Aspen, and Boulder to get on the lists. And Atlanta paid $1 million in 2024 to have the same, basically the same investment, to have Michelin take a look. Texas invested $2.4 million to get some of these things. So anyways, I don't know if I was like shattered or whatever, if I was all of a sudden like, dang, what happened? Like, I still believe in it, but interesting, to see about like, where do our tourism dollars go? And so every time you stay at an Airbnb or a hotel, or you go to a Disney resort or Universal resort, some of that tourism tax that gets tacked on, this is kind of some of the stuff that happens. And by the way, it helps locals a ton. Like, you think about these restaurants that their worlds have been completely changed because they make it on the Michelin Guide, and then tons of people show up. It's cool, but it's an interesting thing that I had never heard of before. Samuel says magical dining has started. That's for sure. Many of those are on the Michelin list. And every time you go to a magical dining and you pay for it, check out magicaldining.com. Every time you go to one of those restaurants, a piece of your bill goes towards charity, which is a cool thing. Mark says, yes, I did know it was pay to play and it's totally worth it. I agree. Hi Pig says, wife and I just came home from Minneapolis. You guys have fun. Well, thanks for hanging out, man. Horizon says, most aren't actually Michigan stars, but actually Bib Gorman's, which I prefer. Being the cheapskate that I am, Bombay Street Kitchen is our current fave. Yeah, for sure. You're right. So they're not, Bib Gorman, they're not Michelin stars. Like, we don't have, how many? Now I need to know how many Michelin stars. I want to say it's less than like half dozen. All right, so Orlando currently has 7 Michelin starred restaurants. In addition to these, they have 15 Bib Gourmand restaurants and 35 recommended restaurants, making the total 57 Michelin recognized establishments. And so the 7 stars are like Kappa. I know that one. Now I want to go back and figure out what the rest of them are. Cody says, and it helps drive, pun intended, tire sales. Yeah. If you haven't listened, one of my favorite podcasts is Founders Podcast on the Michelin Guide. And this thing is incredible. If you've never heard of how this came about, I'll give you like the Cliff Notes version, like the state of the city, but even faster. Basically, the guys who are creating tires in Europe, they said, we need people to drive more so the tires wear down and they need to buy more. And so we're going to give them this guide of all the cool places to see in our area. And if they go do that, then they'll drive more, they'll need more tires. And so it became this huge marketing effort, which drove tire sales. And I just think that's like one of the coolest things. But yeah, check it out. All right, we got more things to talk about. So let's keep diving in. Let's talk about some Disney news here. I like Disney. So new details revealed for first ever Muppets roller coaster. You guys have maybe known this is coming. One of the things that I think a lot of people were excited about was, check this bad boy out. The guitar is staying. Let me get rid of myself. There we go. I'm stoked about this because it seems like they're just changing the overlay. It went from Aerosmith to Muppets, and yet who knew what was happening? It's still not even closed down officially, I don't believe, because they closed down Muppets and they probably don't want to close down too many things at once. But Disney released this today. And so I'm stoked about it. So the most magical place on earth has big plans for the final third and of 2025 and the start of 2026. If you look on the inside, it looks like they're kind of keeping the same. Let me get myself keeping the same vibe where you walk in and you're looking into where they're recording. You got Kermit over on the screen here. I love this ride, and I love Muppets. So the fact that this is going to stick around, I'm pretty excited. The next thing was Big Thunder Mountain Railroad returns with more to offer in 2026. Although I don't see a official date on this one. But one of the things, if you've ever been to Disneyland and rode Big Thunder Mountain, one of the things that I loved was that when you're going through that cave scene where the train's coming up, well, there's lots of cave scenes, but like when you're in the dark in the cave currently, and there's just not a lot to see in Disneyland, there are like things exploding all around you as you're going through this piece. And it doesn't look like we're getting that here, unfortunately, but it does look like they've sort of reimagined what's going on in the cave. So it says currently undergoing a mountaintop cavern deep dive refurbishment. The ride will feature new sights and sounds. And one such moment comes when the train rattle their underway ground. Oh, sorry. One such moment comes when the train rattle their way through the underground in spectacular natural caverns full of photophorescent, like these things right here. Pools shimmering and illuminating iridescent stalactites and stalagmites. And then last thing that they announced today was opening date for Zootopia Better Together. This is in Animal Kingdom. This is going to be opening November 7th. And Zootopia 2 comes out November 26th. So yeah, that's like great timing for them. So this all new 4D show will be Walt Disney Animation Studios films Zootopia and Zootopia 2. And it's going to feature cop characters, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. So I'm excited for the things coming to Walt Disney World. I was on, if you guys don't follow her, Serena with Living by Disney. She had me on her podcast this past week, and we're just talking about the theme park wars and how amazing that is for people that live here. Like you got Universal doing what they're doing, which RIP Rip Ride Rocket this week, but with Epic and everything they're doing over there. And then how Disney was, said they weren't going to reply, but they replied with Villains Land and all of these other new things coming. It's never been a better time to be a Disney fan, I think, or a theme park fan in general. It says 1 star is worth a stop, 2 stars worth a detour, 3 stars worth the trip. Heck yeah. Pickle says Chroma in Lake Nona. Victoria and Alberts. Yeah, they got the snub for years and years and years, and they finally got it. If you've been to V&A, if you've been to Victoria and Alberts, let me know. Was it worth it to you? I'm going to hold my judgment for a second. But let me know if you've been to Victoria and Alberts. Would you go back a second time? That is, to me, the sign of a good meal. Good place. Let's see. I totally missed a ton. I'm going to go back up and get more questions. Matt says, who are my favorite custom home builders? Man, that's a great question. And it really depends on where you're looking. I think if you are... I'll start south. If you're in the Reunion area, I think McNally does a really great job. If you are in Golden Oak, if you are in Windermere, I think Jones Clayton does an incredible job. If you are downtown or like Winter Park kind of thing, Phil Keane is one of my favorite modern design homes. Let me show you. Oh my gosh. Phil Keane. What a legend. That guy. Let's see. There we go. Oops, get rid of myself. This is actually one he did in Golden Oak. This is the Nemaya, I believe. This one's so beautiful. But yeah, he builds just the most cool modern style homes. There he is, right there, Phil Keane. Anyways, one of my favorite in terms of modern. I'm trying to think of who else. There's a lot of really good ones. It just depends on the area of town you're looking in and your budget, because some builders are like, there's production. There's like lower level production, entry level production, semi-custom production, and then you get like affordable custom and then super high end, depending on what you're looking for. Candace says, does Posick help with rentals looking to move in 2027 and trying to decide if it's best to rent or go ahead and buy? So currently we don't help with tenant representation. What we do is try to help give you any kind of insight you need into the area. So if you reached out and you're like, hey, this is the kind of area I'm looking for, do you have any suggestions? Weird thing about Orlando, different than where I'm from originally in Michigan. Like property managers and like don't love working with real estate agents, and so sometimes they don't like want to pay us, which is like a weird thing to say. But obviously, I would love to do this for charity, but I don't. Whereas in other places in the country, they like, they work together and they try to make it work. So what we do is just for the relationship and try to make sure that you get everything you need. We'll give you an area sort of overview over the phone and point you in the right direction and let you know who you need to look at. Apartments.com and some other different places have plenty of rental opportunities. But what I do tell people, like, I don't push people to buy right away. Like, if you don't have the time or the finances to come down and spend 4, 5, 6 days in Orlando outside of the theme parks, by the way, get into the downtown areas and get to know kind of where you want to live, then you probably should rent for a year. And then when it's time to buy, we'd love to help or sell. Emily says McNally, JJ, Goring and Morgan, Element's good as well. Yeah. I would like to see Ken wear Mickey ears during the live stream. I don't know if that's happened, man. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna get off here. Jeez, oh Pete's. I feel like I missed a ton of things. All right, I want to go back up because I don't want to miss the questions because it's important to me. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to go over here. All right, so I think this is interesting. The OBJ put out an article today. Orlando space tourism startup Titans Space aims for 2029 launch. Now, this is not the first time that we've seen a space tourism sort of piece pop up in the Central Florida area. Now, you think about like the coast is only an hour away. And so space tourism being right there next to NASA, also not being too far away from all the theme park stuff around here, does make sense. But we've also seen some pop up, get some investment, and then not go anywhere. But this one's very ambitious. So an Orlando-based company is looking to tap into commercial space tourism industry by generating buzz with this ambitious plan to launch its first space plane flight in 2029, as well as build lunar orbit hotels and begin mining the moon for rare minerals. In fact, it says it strives to be the largest development and real estate company in the space and on the moon. I don't know. I want people to literally shoot for the moon, and I hope this happens. And wow, like it's not like, hey, we're going to take people up for 10 minutes and back. It's like we're going to dominate the space real estate, which I think is, hey, it's dope. Let's get it. So it's interesting. They talked about they're going to have how many people? It was like 300. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So founded 4 years ago, it aims to revolutionize space travel through its space planes. It says it's going to carry 350 passengers on different trips, including a 5-hour orbital cruise around the globe. And then they're also going to be going through and doing quite a few other things. And so, I mean, it's better than what Katy Perry got with Blue Origin, for sure. I don't know. Actually, I'm trying to see. The company also plans to offer orbital cruises starting at $200,000, suborbital zero-G flights starting at $149,000, and they're going to be giving significantly more than that over the next 10 to 15 years in different offerings. So you guys let me know, like, if that's a lot of money, by the way, for sure, right? But say, like, let's put money aside. Like, say you had unlimited funds. Are you going in space for 5 hours? Is this like first on the list or like pretty far down the list for you? Let us know in the comments below. We have people checking in on coffee. See, Samuel says Lineage is his favorite. Alex says Han coffee is incredible. Lanique says, I like questions from the comments over the email box. As always, I appreciate you for getting me that job at Bank of New York Mellon. Dude, of course, man. That was like, I screenshot that and I sent it to a couple friends, to be honest, when you told me that. Because I was like, that's cool. It makes it all worth it. Congratulations, by the way. Sean says, "What's going on? Catching you live, even though it's halfway through, moving to Lakeland, Florida, in early 2027. Congrats, man, and welcome." All right, I don't know that I'm not going to answer this question completely tonight, but this is one. If my team's watching, we need to screenshot this and ask for the team. But if Orlando neighborhoods were a character in a theme park parade, which would be the quirky side, the wise elder, the hidden gem, or the crowd favorite, and why? Huh. Would the wise elder be Winter Park? The hidden gem be like, I want to think about this a little bit more. That is such a great question, Charlie. Thank you. All right, let's keep going here. This is a big one. This is a big one, especially if you live in the Horizon West Winter Garden area. So plans filed for Lowe's store at Hamlin Town Center in Horizon West. For one, that we just got a hardware store over there, by the way. I was just like excited that I can go somewhere and get batteries for the first time. And so the fact that Lowe's is all of a sudden dropping in, this is exciting. So this is going to be a Hamlin Town Center in Horizon West. This is by our friends over at Growth Spotter. Tyler, what's up, dude? So Lowe's could be the latest big box retailer to open a location in Horizon West's Hamlin Town Center. They submitted plans to Orange County over the past week for 134,000 square foot Lowe's on a 25-acre property directly north of the existing Walmart. And so if you guys are familiar with that, there's a lot of changes going on. There's like a great new Mexican restaurant finally just opened up. We've got Pop Stroke that just opened up. You've got so many cool things opening up over there. It feels like more and more so there's a community. But what I did find out over the past maybe 2 or 3 months was across 429, if you're familiar with that area, there's like so much more retail coming. And so to think about what that area could look like over the next, I don't know, 5 to 7 years, it's going to be really exciting. Florida officials announced a location timeline for new passport office opening in Orlando. Now, I did a story just 2 years ago about a new passport office opening in Miami, and the thing went crazy. People were so excited that they can actually go and get same day passports and like very quick turnaround. But we still don't have that here in Orlando. So you had to jump on the Bright Line or drive or that kind of thing. And so Florida officials, they announced this new location here. And so state officials have officially unveiled the location and schedule for the upcoming passport office in Orlando. Congressman Maxwell Frost announced in the new location that's going to be just north of the Orlando International Airport at 5520 Gatlin. And so this is exciting. This is going to be opening up in 2 years, summer of 2027. And so there's going to be Orlando, which is just one of 6 new locations that were chosen across the country for passport offices. And the other locations were Cincinnati, San Antonio, Kansas City, Missouri, Salt Lake City, and Charlotte. Speaking of Charlotte, I was just in San Antonio, by the way, which is also getting a passport office. Why is it the smallest airport ever? It's a big city compared to Austin. Austin's like 700,000 people smaller, and San Antonio's ridiculously hard to get into. I don't even get it. But here we are. All right, let's talk a little bit about real estate, if you don't mind. I do this from time to time, give you an update of like what's going on directly from our MLS. And then if you have any other questions, drop down below. We'll probably wrap up in 10 minutes or so. But the Orlando Realtor Association puts out this report, and it's great data from our MLS. So the data is fresh. This is just over the past week. This is from August 10th through August 16th. And it talks about what's going on in our real estate market. And first off, it starts with single family homes, and it breaks it down by bracket here of like different price points. And so you look at the average final sales price or final list price of homes in Orlando is currently $583,000, with the average sales price now down to $561,000, with the median price of $445,000. Now, I am curious, what was that last year at this time? Here we go. Let's see. We're going to go back. We're going to look at 2024. We're going to look at August, same week. What were we looking at? So, that's actually interesting. So the average price this time last year was $538,000, and it's currently was $538,000. It's currently higher, 561. Median price currently is 445. Last year it was 423. Months of inventory, like how are we doing last year? Overall, you had 4 months supply of homes, and currently you're sitting at, let's see, 5 months supply of homes. But here's the ringer. This one is actually big difference. There's currently 9,000 single family homes on the market as of today. Last year it was 7,000. So significantly more houses on the market, which is why you're seeing like, more month supply of homes. You look at what kind of discount can you get? Like if you go out to a house right now, what's the average discount? The final sales price that you're seeing from homes for sale to closing is roughly 3.5% off. That's their final sales price. This is before they actually change their price. Potentially, we're seeing like roughly 30% of all listings are lowering their price within the first month. And so if you see homes kind of like going down, 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 it's interesting. You want to catch it as soon as it gets to a good price and then write an offer. Apparently, on average, 3.5% off. But yeah, it's 7.5% off from the original sales price. Interesting, for sure. Is this surprising to you? Is there like any interesting things to think about? We know we have more listings on the market today than we did last year. And yet it just feels like this like interesting market because there's a lot of new construction on the market. There's definitely resale, and prices have come down significantly in some areas, but on a regional level, they've actually gone up year over year, which actually sort of surprising to think of. Average sales price, 561 in 2025. Average sales price, 539 this time last year. Let me know what you think. All right, going back to my Victoria and Alberts. Ken and M. Is that like Eminem, but Ken and M? What's going on, Alexa? Good to see you out there crushing it. Carla says, we actually absolutely love Victoria and Alberts. We've been there 4 or 5 times, and each time gets better and better. Now, Carla, I went there 3 years ago, and like where the world was, yes, back open in 2022, but it wasn't there yet. It feels actually, let me know if you're out there and you're going to theme parks recently, but I feel like service is starting to improve again, not only in like off market or off theme, off property, but like at theme parks in general. I feel like they're focusing more and more on service, which is great. But like, okay, so here's my Victoria and Alberts story. We went with some friends and I enjoyed it. But when I got the bill, I'm like, did I enjoy it that much? Like, I don't, I've spent money on food before, but like, it was the plates were so small, and maybe I'm just not fancy enough, Carla. I don't know. Chiefs at Home says, hey, first time homebuyer here. If I wait to buy until next year to purchase a house in Horizon West, how much higher can I expect to pay percentage-wise compared to now? Also new to Florida. Thanks. Here's the deal. Like crystal ball wise, you just literally don't know. I believe that as rates come down, that demand will go up and then prices will start catching up behind there. I do know that in Horizon West right now, there's a lot of builders offering some pretty great incentives. And so while prices might not skyrocket they might not go up more than 2 or 3%, those incentives will come down. And so it will feel like actually a lot more. Because if you can get a house right now with $50,000 of incentives and it's a $500,000 house, and all of a sudden those incentives go away, well, heck, you're technically paying 10% more for that house, aren't you? But even if the pricing doesn't go up. And so you get these, like, actually the video that we did today, we really dispelled some good myths around, like, you go into a builder model and they're like, hey, we're going to raise, this is one you'll hear all the time. They say, we're going to raise base prices next week because we sold 3 houses last week. And you're like, okay, so base price is 600. What are you raising it to? Well, base price is going up to 615. And so you're thinking like, oh, prices are going up. I need to hurry up. And that's kind of the game, right? And I get it. Like, I totally understand, by the way. Like, but then in the back end, they're playing with incentives. Are they buying your rate down? Are they giving you closing cost incentives? If you're going to the design center, are they giving you design center incentives? All of those things have to play. And so most of the time, builders don't want to play with that base price at all because they want to keep it going up. But in the background, they're playing with incentives. And so that's what my team and I do. Like, we literally talk to dozens of builders a week and figure out where can we push things, where things work. We work with builders all the time, but doesn't answer your question exactly. I just think that pricing will probably go up 2 or 3%, but incentives probably will come down. That's a more succinct way of saying it. Kevin says, hey, just a quick shout out to the Posa Group and Sarah Milanis. We move into our Claremont house in 2 weeks. Congrats, Kevin. That's incredible. We love that. JJ says, Posa Group should start doing Friday Night Lights in Orange County. We would be amazed to showcase high school football smaller programs. Freedom Patriots will host St. Cloud. Go Patriots. All right, dude, because you said this, hold on. This is somebody sent this to me, and now I'm really hoping that I can find it quickly. Oh gosh. All right. Maybe this is helpful, but this guy sent this to me on Instagram, and I can't find the original report, but this is a good one to at least start with. So U.S. News and World Report put out their newest 2025 guides on the top 10 schools in Orlando. But the craziest thing was that something like 9 Orlando area schools made the top 100 top schools in America, or high schools in America, which that actually good on them, right? So top 10 high schools, again, best high schools, top 10 ranked for 2025. You've got Alpha School, Timber Creek High School, Boone High School, Winter Park High School, Lakeland High Prep. So this is actually prep schools or private schools and public mixed in there. Dr. Phillips, we hear that a lot. Freedom High School, there's my guy. Circle Christian, Cypress High School, and the First Academy. My TFA folks out there, what up? So yeah, I got to find that for next week because I think it's a really big deal. The fact that we ranked that high with public schools, the rank that they sent me was it's like Freedom High, Winter Park High, and some other really, really good ones. Last story for you today, and I'm going to answer a couple more questions before we roll out. All right. So if you follow us on Instagram, the Orlando Reel, or myself, my account, this is a big deal. So Siemens Energy to relocate to Orlando and their offices. And so they're bringing 3,000 jobs to their new 240. Let me get rid of this. Gosh, there's a lot of ads. That's really good for them. 242,000 square foot building in Lake Nona's town center. And so this is going to be really interesting. Now, they're not relocating brand new jobs from like a big neighboring state or city. They're bringing it from Alafaya. So like 30 minutes north of Lake Nona, they're bringing it down to they're moving from a facility that was 40. They were there for 40 years. And now they're moving into the Lake Nona area. Why is this a big deal? Well, I think that you look at Lake Nona and what it was supposed to be and what it's becoming and what it still can be is this like hub for healthcare, which you've got Medical City. There's no doubt that some of the best medical care in the state is there. You got Nemours Children's Hospital. You got the VA there. You got the new nursing school that just opened up. You've got a lot of really cool UCF medical school. There's a bunch of stuff from the medical world that are there. UF Medical is there. And then now they're like, okay, so we started as Medical City, but then we want to get into aviation and tech. And so bringing all of these jobs together, have this kind of like synergistic world where you bring in more jobs and then create more retail and more jobs want to come by them because, hey, if there's 10,000 people that have a good pool of people that I can hire from. You got KPMG and all these places over there. And so I think this is big. Now, what does it do for Alafaya? Not a ton. What does it do for Lake Nona? Massive lift because there's going to be more retail and shopping and just, more office that will eventually get built. So the dream of what Lake Nona was supposed to be is coming to fruition. I just think it's cool to see in terms of a success story overall. Tyler, wow, I missed it. He says, this is how I get Posick Park. How do I get Posick Park? Oh, M is in Emily. Duh. Hi, Alexa. There we go. All right. So I think we are wrapping up for tonight. It means a lot that you'd hang out with me. 50, why is it like 50 minutes seems like really good show length for me. Maybe it's the way that I prepare, but I appreciate you guys' questions tonight and for hanging out, for watching the replay if that's you. By the way, if you're looking to buy or sell a house anywhere in Central Florida, reach out at theorlandoreal.com/YouTube to get started. We'd love to help you. your real estate resource of choice. We'll see you guys on the next stream. Bye.